Okay, and so let's now move on to the first file, to the files that you need to report to CalPads, which is the staff data submission. So the staff data submission comprised of two files. You have your staff demographics and staff assignments. So here is a diagram of how those the relationship of those files. So if the SSID enrollment file in Fall 1 is your anchor file, the staff demographic file is basically your anchor file for Fall 2, meaning you need to gain ownership of a staff member by submitting a staff demographic record before you report their assignments, assign them to a course, and associate them to a student in that course. So to gain ownership of a staff member, you have to submit a staff demographic file, hence the order of submission. So you submit a staff demographic file, you then report their staff assignments, what their job classification is, and where they are assigned to. And then, of course, you report their seed in a course if they're a teaching staff member, if they're a teacher, and then of course assign those students to those courses. Also, based on your staff demographic information, CalPAS and CD will determine if a teacher is ineffective or inexperienced, and also based on their post-education credentials. And then you also have your staff assignment to determine the credentials that they're qualified for. So who are the staff reported in CalPADS? Just for those who are seasoned CalPADS veterans, who do we report for in CalPADS for Fall 2? Do we report everyone from, superintendent down to the custodian? What's the main driving factor here? Okay, good answers. Yes, certificated staff, only certificated staff. You're right, only certificated staff and who were working on Census Day. That's right. So, okay, so the staff who should be reported are the certificated staff who were actively employed on Census Day. Actively employed means they might be working on Census Day. They're actively working on Census Day, or they might be on leave on Census Day but are contractually assigned to a class. So meaning those are your teachers of record who may be on leave. So if you submit a staff demographic assignment or assign a teacher to a course, but they don't have teaching assignments, it triggers a Cert 47. And normally this occurs because they don't have any credentials. So you have to make sure that your teachers have credentials. And the bottom line here is that you report SDM and SASS who are certificated and thus have a seed number. If your teacher does not have a issued seed number, then of course you don't submit the SDM and SASS. And you could probably report the teacher in the course using seed 999, but then for the staff demographic and staff assignment, by all means, do not submit the seed 999 to report those staff members. Okay. And so I've alluded earlier to this. How do non-certificated teachers get a seed? So you just contact CTC and apply for a certificate of clearance. That way they can issue your teacher a seed which you can assign to the SDM and SASS record later on. Okay, so let's just discuss some key fields in the staff demographic. And this is one reason why you have to submit a staff demographic every year. Okay, so you have here key fields in your staff demographics, your employment status of the teacher, the staff years LA and staff years total. So the staff service years LA and staff service years total must be updated yearly because CalPADS is not intelligent enough to just automatically add one more year to a staff demographic every year. So you have to do that in your SIS before extracting that file in CalPADS. Failure to do that, add one more year to your more current SDM record will actually might have consequences in terms of the inexperience determination of a staff members. Let's say the staff member continuously has a 2-year or 1-year total years of service, then of course CDE will brand that teacher or a staff member as inexperienced staff member. Okay. So staff service years LA is obvious. This is the total years of service in your district. Staff year service total would be staff service years based on not just in California, but outside or maybe nationwide, or even when they were working as in the private sector. So anytime they've been certificated, you count that. Okay. Then of course you have your staff highest degree, which indicates the degree that they reached. So this could be a doctorate, masteral, college, or college degree. So those are your key data in your staff demographics. So just make sure staff service years LA and staff service years total is always reported, or there should be a +1 every year. So as I've mentioned, there is a consequence for not updating the staff service years. So if it remains below 2 years, then of course CalPAS will determine that as a inexperienced teacher. So for the staff assignment, do we have any questions regarding the SDM? We have two teachers with certs of clearance, but they have not been assigned a seed. Sounds like they should have been. Yes, Marcy, you may need to contact CTC to verify their seed. Okay, so we have the SASS here, which is your staff assignment. This is basically telling CalPADS, when you submit the second file, you're telling CalPADS that specific job classification of your staff, certificated staff member, and some other information. So here, again, you have your job classification to either, you're telling CalPADS, okay, this is a certificated staff who might be a teacher, an administrator, or working under pupil service. And then, of course, you have your non-classroom based assignments. These are assignments assigned to administrators and pupil services by default since they're not teaching a class. And so these are your assignments. Of course, teachers can also be assigned a non-classroom based assignment code if they're not teaching or they're teaching and doing non-classroom based assignment at the same time. And then you have your school of assignment to identify to what site these teachers are assigned to. And then the FTE percentage, which determines the percentage of time each job classification in relation to a full-time position. Basically, this is the percentage of time that your staff member is performing their duties. Okay, so the staff assignment, we have here on the left side your teacher, admin, pupil service. These are the credentials that a staff member can attain, right? They can, if they're a teacher, then of course they need to have a teacher credential, an admin, and then pupil service. And then at the same time, you have a staff job classification. These are the job functions that they have that you report in CalPADS. A teacher could be a regular teacher, 12, a charter school non-certificated teacher, 26, or an itinerant pull-out push-in teacher, 27. An admin can both be an admin or a non-certificated admin. And then, of course, you only have one job classification for pupil services. So just an emphasis on teaching assignments. Teaching assignments are assigned to teachers, of course, obviously. So you have your job classification 12, 26, 27. This is just indicating that if you report a staff member as a 12, 26 to 27, there is an expectation that you need to assign them to a course. Okay, so 12, 26, 27. You have to assign this staff member to a course, meaning to the class that they're assigned to. Okay, you might have to assign teacher a non-classroom job assignment code if that's also another scenario, but by the expectation is there should always be a class assigned to them if they have a teaching assignment. Now, if they don't have if they're not teaching a class, then of course, by all means, submit a non-classroom job assignment code. So for job classification FTE percentage, you can report a total of 200% for a staff member. Why is that? So how are you able to report 200%? So there are times when a staff member can be reported with multiple job classifications or maybe one single job classification but in multiple sites. And then it could be a hybrid of admin or teacher. So here are some scenarios wherein you have an admin. If the admin is just an admin, only does admin functions, then report 100%. Now, sometimes maybe this admin can be in multiple sites. So you have um, two sites with one job classification. So this could be 130%. Okay. Then you also have a staff assignment devoted to teaching. So 100%. And then it could be a hybrid 50-50 if the teacher and admin is, let's say, split, if the staff member splitting functions. Could be within the same site, it could be in multiple sites. So all in all, you should have at the maximum, it shouldn't exceed 200% FTE. Otherwise, you'll get an error when submitting it to CalPads. Okay, so I have a question here. How should teachers be reported in CalPads? There are different scenarios of reporting a teacher in CalPads. Of course, you have your regular teacher of record. Okay, this is your, ordinary teacher. Goes into school, teaches a class. So you have your staff job classification 12. You report them with job classification 12, and then assign the teacher seed to a class. Now, it's optional if you have any non-instructional assignment, then you report a non-classroom job assignment too. Now, we have a teacher of record. These are your teachers who are on leave but are your teacher of record, meaning these are the teachers who are contractually assigned to a class but they are on leave. So this could be a teacher who might be on leave for a few months, a few years, but they are the assigned teacher to that class. So per CalPAD's guidance since last year, you have to report the teacher of record all the time. Okay, regardless if the teacher is record, if the teacher of record is on leave. So to do that, you report a job classification of 12, assign the teacher to a course since they are the assigned teacher, and then report a non-classroom job code of 6018 on leave. So this is a typo. So basically, you're saying that the teacher is your teacher of record, so you assign them to the course, and at the same time, you report them that they're on leave. So the only way to see this scenario is when you look at report 4.3. So 4.3 has the combination of your classes, the teacher's profile, and their classes. So this is the only way to see where your teacher of record that are on leave are. You can see that on report 4.4 or 4.5. And then you have your charter school non-certificated teacher of record. Again, you can report them with the job classification 26, assign them to a class, and then of course you have optional non-instructional assignment. And then for substitute teachers, who is the teacher of record for a class, you only report substitute teachers to a class if there is a vacancy for that class, meaning there were no teacher of record who were on leave. It's a total vacancy. There are no contractually assigned teacher to that class. Then that's the only time you report a substitute teacher. You have the option to report them as a 12, a 26, or 27, depending on the scenario of the class, and then assign them to the class with the appropriate state course code of that class. Then at the same time, if this teacher is a long-term sub teacher, you can always also report them with a 6014. Okay. Now, let's say you have a substitute teacher who is assigned to a class on census day, but you can't report them because you are told to report the teacher of record. So how do you account for this group of teachers? Well, you still report them if you want, and then instead of assigning them to a class, report them with a non-classroom job assignment code of 6014. Okay. And then of course you have your pull out push-in teachers. These are your teachers who could be a PE, EL services classes, your RSP teachers. You report them with a 27 and then assign them to the specific uh, class with a specific state course code. It could be PE class. And then for EL services, you assign them to a class with a state course code of 9103 or 4. And then for RSP, you assign them to a class with state course code 9231. So this is how you report special ed teachers who who are teaching classes, but you don't want to account for the students in those classes. Let's say if you have class, you have teachers providing just services, or assigned to a class, then you report them with a state course code 9231, and then the key element here is a 27. By reporting this as a 27, you CalPADS will not require you to account for the students enrolled in that class. Okay. And then of course you have your college teachers or your college teachers not employed by the LA who is teaching the class to a student. So you report a SEED 999 to that course that the student is assigned to, but do not report a SEED 999 in the SDM or SASS. So you only report college teachers or college courses through the course. Okay. So this is not a misassignment starting this year. Based on Flash 191, reporting college teachers with a SEED 999 is fine. This won't be a misassignment as long as you assign the appropriate college courses on it. Nate will discuss that later on. And then, of course, you have your other scenario where you have third-party teachers. It could be an ROP or distant learning or any third-party vendor teaching a class. Since you don't employ them, you have the option for them with the SEED 999. That's fine. However, this is an automatic misassignment. Okay. So now you can say, okay, if we have a seed, then can we report them within SDM? Yeah, you could do that, could report the staff member seed. However, if you report a valid seed, you are required to report a staff demographic record and staff assignment for them. If you use 999 SDM or SAS, will CalPAS ignore that staff member and pull it? No, it will trigger, it will reject the record that you're submitting to CalPADS. Seed 999 is not a valid seed. It will trigger an error upon upload to CalPADS. And then there are two teachers assigned to a section. Are they both required to have appropriate credentials or only the primary one? I believe they're both required to. So we have a scenario here wherein how to report special education teachers. So we have here just guidance on how to report special day classes. So bottom line is if a teacher is doing self-contained, then report state course code 1000 and report an instructional strategy code of 700. Now, if it's departmentalized, then assign the specific state course code appropriate to the class and then assign 700. And then for those teachers who are resource specialists, if a teacher is providing support, then you report them to state course code 9231 and assign instructional strategy code 700. You have to report them with the 27. That way you have the flexibility of not reporting those students in the class, meaning you don't have to report their SCSE records for the class that they're assigned to. So let's say if you have an RSP that is team teaching, because I think this is a common scenario. You have an RSP teacher team teaching into a mainstream class. Based on guidance this year, you have to separate them from that class, okay? Because if you do team teaching, CalPADS won't be able to distinguish or delineate the credentials of that teacher because you're assigning, let's say, a 1000 course or you're assigning a specific departmentalized course. There would be a misassignment if that co-teacher is an RSP. So you have to separate that from the mainstream class. Of course, if you do that, you have to report a 27 and you're not obliged to report those students in that class. Okay. So let's now have some scenarios here of how to report staff. Okay. So we have here some questions on staff. I won't discuss how to upload files because that's basically a basic functionality. If you want to know about that, then by all means go to the CalPADS basics training for SDM data population. So there are some scenarios that I just want to show you here. First of all, for the staff demographics, let's just look at one staff member here. Here is one scenario that I just want to highlight. So this is a teacher who left the LEA. So, so it's easy to just submit a staff demographic file to CalPAD, just submit it. But then it's difficult to sometimes LAs have problems reporting staff members who left the district. So here is one classic scenario of that. So in your file, you probably submitted your file. CalPADS has it, and then you were thinking, okay, I'm fine, this is good. And so during certification, you get a Cert 84. So meaning you have a staff demographic who does not have assignments. Okay, so that means this staff member should have been reported as no longer employed. To do that, there are two things you have to always remember. You should always report your employment end date. You're telling me, okay, this is a valid record. How come I'm getting a Cert 84? It's because of this record effective end date here. When reporting a staff member who is no longer employed, only populate the employment end date in your SIS. Do not populate this part here. Otherwise, if you do so, CalPADS will just automatically generate a new demo record showing that the staff member is still employed. So always remember, if you report a SDM for a staff member who is no longer employed, this should always be clear. This should always be empty, but you should always populate this part here, employment end date, okay? So that's one of those major errors that LAs encounter every year. So I just wanted to highlight that. And so let's just move on to some of the scenarios that I've mentioned earlier about staff reporting. So here is a staff member who is currently employed and who is a teacher and pupil service, okay? Notice here that this staff member has a total of 200, okay? You can report a staff assignment for a teacher in multiple times. However, you only have 100 here. So in this scenario, a teacher is employed as a teacher at Emerson Elementary with 50% FTE and is working as a pupil services as well. Note that the only reason why she can do this is she has credentials for both, okay? You can just report a staff member as 12 or 11 just because they're doing that. No, you have to report them because they're credentialed, they're certificated to do so, okay? So here is a classic example of a combination of jobs. So 12 and 11, a total of 100%. Now we have another version here of a teacher. So this is another staff member. Okay, let's filter for just this year. So this is a teacher who has 120% FTE. You would wonder how come this is 120? Well, I don't know. Sometimes maybe you have to contact your HR as to why this person has 120 FTE. So this is a scenario where a staff member is a teacher, but do not have a course assigned to them. Okay, so you have here 120, and so they're assigned to a mentor teacher job. Okay, and then let's see another one. So here is another scenario. You have here a combination of job classification. So you have a 10, you have an 11 at the same school site. You can have multiple staff assignment records at the same site so long as they have different job classifications. Okay. And then, of course, within the job classification, if let's say a staff member is an admin and doing multiple non-classroom job-based assignment code, do not submit two records of a job classification 10 at the same school. No, don't do that because CalPAS will trigger a duplicate SASS record error. If you're reporting an SASS record showing that an admin is doing two non-classroom job-based assignment codes, just report one record, and within that record, report those two non-classroom job-based assignment codes. Do not split this into two records because doing that will trigger an error. And that also goes with the pupil service. So any job, any SASS record reported at the same school for the same job classification but with multiple non-classroom job assignment codes should be reported as one record, not split. Okay. Then we have here one last scenario. And while I'm pulling, okay, so this is Elizabeth Hoover. So this staff member is a busy person. So she's a regular teacher assigned to a course. I believe she's assigned to a course. Let's see if she has a course here. Oh no, she's not. Okay, so we'll have an error for that. So, so let's just say this teacher is a regular teacher at Emerson Elementary and assigned to a class. So you can report a 12 and assign the teacher to a class. And you can still report a non-classroom job-based assignment code on top of that. Okay? So 12, you have a class, and you can report a non-classroom job-based assignment code. At the same time, this staff member is working as an itinerant teacher in multiple sites, one at the district, one at another school, and so she has job classification FTE split. Okay? So notice here, even though she has the same job classification, CalPADS will allow it because she is assigned at two different sites. Okay. So that's how to report staff assignments, SDM. So there are numerous combinations of reporting scenarios that you can throw in here. I can ramble on, but Nate takes over and discuss about courses. Nate?